my gosh. Stupid webcam. It's just a disaster.
I wish is the very first 2 seconds of that going to be on there when you hit the wrong button?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, probably.
On there too?
It depends.
And we'll leave it there because that's kind of part of what happened. It was like the wrong button got hit, then the right button got hit, then the webcam went haywire.
It's like a tornado.
And we're rolling.
Here we are.
Oh my God. So a lot going on this last weekend, let alone the fact that it's 2022.
Yeah.
Did you see that meme that's floating around that says that feeling when you realize the new year sounds like it's 2022?
Yeah. Yeah, like I know.
Again?
I did see that. I was like,
no, I don't want this again. No. Yeah. So, anywho, but yeah, this week, I guess really the big story this weekend, aside from 2022, is Betty White.
Yeah.
Passing away. And yeah, it's you know what? I tell you what, if nothing else, she can take a lot of pride in the fact that her passing also spurred a lot of people to do some digging into her history that hadn't done it before, that they knew who she was. They knew she was older than sliced bread. They knew she was, all these other little memes that have floated around about Betty White. And,
yeah.
But hadn't never watched Golden Girls, didn't know she was on that. What is it? Hot in Cincinnati? Wasn't that the one she was on with them?
Hot in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, didn't know all the stuff that she had done. And so a lot of people discovered a lot of really great things about her and her, I was digging around myself, of course, and came across a lot of really neat stories about her and Carol Burnett. They were really, really good friends, which makes sense. Carol Burnett's 88, by the way. Yeah. But yeah, just kind of digging around in her past and all the great things that she did. And her second husband had died in 1981, I think it was. And then she never remarried. And she would get asked that all the time. And she was like, well, once you've had the best, why go back? It's like, there's no reason.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. And so, and then looking at too, again, the Golden Girls, I watched, because of course everything Betty White was on this weekend. Everything Betty White was everywhere.
Oh, you couldn't get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram with having Betty White, favorite clips people sharing. It was pretty cool.
Really, really fun. Because you didn't realize how much of it she did that was just ad-libbed.
Yeah.
That she would just go off on a story about St. Olaf and her Uncle Gunther.
I didn't realize that.
And all that funny stuff. But when you look at the four ladies that were on there, you forget the fact that Sophia Estelle Getty was actually younger than B. Arthur.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Played
one of the best old ladies ever.
Yeah. And the other thing, I never knew there was a reason behind why she was so sharp-tongued. She would just, she would say that she didn't give a crap about anybody, right?
Yeah.
She'd just say it. Well, in that first episode, that's where they kind of set the table and explained who everybody was in a little bit. She had a stroke. And the only thing that had affected was her filter.
What?
She just said whatever she wanted.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And they made that statement in that first episode. And I'm like, I didn't know that. And then I got to thinking about all the TV shows you watch. And you forget about the first episode because you're watching the first episode thinking, do I want to watch any more of this?
Yeah, and usually it's not that good because it's a setup. It's usually that episode that sets everything up, and it's not. They don't leave you a lot of time. Like The Office, first few episodes weren't very funny at all.
Crazy.
Yeah, they really weren't. I mean, they were okay,
but yeah, you go back and watch a series again. Just go back to the first episode. Remember, I've done that with Criminal Minds. Going back to the very beginning of Criminal Minds. They're going back. Even My Little House on the Prairie, just saying.
Yeah.
And it just kind of changes a few things because you're like, oh, I forgot. They told you that.
Yeah. And then the characters a little bit better so you understand the first episode more. Because before going in, nothing. Yeah,
exactly.
No reference for anything.
So that was kind of fun. So if you get it's on Hulu, I think that's where it's at. But if that the first episode is so good. But anyway, yeah, it showed all the women. And she 99 years old. Really 99 or did she was 2 weeks out, for Pete's sake. Why didn't she get to be 100?
It's kind of relying on you to do the math on this. I saw some meme again, and everything on the internet is accurate, that if you count all the years she actually lived and incorporate the leap years and all that kind of stuff, she technically lived 100 years and 7 days. Because
every 4 years she lost a day.
Yeah. Yep,
wow.
Exactly. So technically
25 days. She made it she was 100 years.
Yeah, 100 years and 7 days. So technically she made it.
That's crazy. The other lady's Blanche was Rue Mcclanahan. She was 76 when she died in 2010, and then B died in 2009. I remember that for some reason. She was 84, and so was Sophia was 84 also when she died. And then 99. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Huh. But it is. And then also there's a movie coming out about, it was supposed to be People Magazine. When you get People Magazine this week, it's a celebration of her 100th birthday.
Right.
Because they already,
come on. That's like, from now on, we need to look at, People Magazine needs to look at doing things like this, like Sports Illustrated does for college football, because the Heisman curse, you get put on the cover of Sports Illustrated, you end up either not winning the Heisman or you end up losing the national championship. Something happens. So if somebody's tickling 100, let's not do a cover story on them.
Let's not get too far in advance.
No. Give them like a nod, maybe a little article, but not a full cover.
I would have been fine if they would have waited till she was 102 weeks.
Yeah, that's all you had to do.
That would have been fine. But on the 17th, there's a movie coming out, a celebration. It's supposed to be her birthday celebration. And I think it's called, Betty White, 100 Years Young, a birthday celebration, will be in theaters on January 17th. And it has, you saw the Ryan Reynolds, some of those Ryan Reynolds clips.
Yeah, funny.
Like when Betty White says, get her a bleeping cup of coffee, you get her a bleeping cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I was like, that is hilarious. But Tina Fey, Morgan Freeman, Carol Burnett's going to be in it. Clint Eastwood. There's just this huge list of who's who, and it will still release on the 17th. And I bet it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I saw something else this weekend too that stuck with me. Like you said, ton of Betty White stuff all over the place. But when somebody said that die at 100, and yet they still say it's too soon, that means you've done something right.
I know, that's true.
Yeah, you've had a great life.
Everybody knew it was coming. But it's still just, you didn't want it to actually happen.
Right.
You didn't want to hear. And how apropos though, it's at the end, like on New Year's Eve.
Right. And somebody like nobody got more toast to their life than Betty White did, because on New Year's Eve, everybody's just found out, they're drunk, they're partying, they have champagne, everybody's toasting Betty White.
I think, and also kind of supplanted the day. I mean, seriously, it was more like, it's New Year's Eve. Oh, I didn't realize Betty White died today, so I didn't realize it.
Yeah. Oh, it is. What? It's 2022? What?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So anyway, but Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah. That's 2022. Here we go.
I had a shocking, jarring thing that happened. It wasn't on New Year's Day. Was it? No, it was yesterday, the 2nd, January 2nd. It happened. Mm-hmm. And so, Beth and I are sitting in the living room, just got up, had really nothing to do all day, and got a text from our friend Angie, and she's like, hey, FYI, Hollywood Raw, which is a podcast we produce, was mentioned in 48 Hours on CBS. I'm like, oh. Obviously she's making a mistake. Probably drinking again. She has no clue. Why on earth would they mention Hollywood Raw, right? And so we normally watch 48 Hours on CBS every week. I know
I disappointed you when you sent me the news.
Right. When you're like,
not the response
you're like, you didn't know. First of all, I felt like, am I out of touch? Like, no, 48 Hours is a great show. It's been on forever. It's like 30 some seasons. We watch Dateline and 48 Hours every Saturday morning, because it's on Friday night. Watch it Saturday morning. Some murder shows. Kick off the weekend with murder, and then go to Costco.
I did not know that 48 Hours was still on.
Yeah. Still on, and it's great. Better than ever.
Sorry. I will get caught up.
It wasn't on Friday night. It was on Saturday night. And so the new episodes were on our DVR Sunday morning. So we're like, oh, that's cool. We'll sit and we'll watch it and see that Hollywood Raw wasn't mentioned because Angie's drinking again, probably. So we sit down, and in the first 7 minutes, I'll play the audio for you of how they it was an episode on Carol Baskin, and
of course it was. That's the only murder show they've done so far, isn't it?
No, they've done a lot of other ones. Back off my 48 Hours.
No, not them. No. I mean Hollywood Raw. Hollywood Raw.
Oh yeah.
Have they done any murdery people besides Carol?
No, people that I've wanted to murder, but nobody.
That's a great record, though. They've only done one, and it makes 48 Hours.
Yeah, I'm trying.
It's not like they've done a bunch of them. None of them have.
We need to get more murder people. That's for sure.
I think that might be their new
ticket.
Hollywood Raw murder, something Hollywood.
Right.
The murder episodes.
Maybe,
like
the death episodes.
A lot of
so they're saying
murders.
Supposedly there was new information on Carol Baskin and her disappearance of her husband, Tiger King, all that kind of stuff. And so we're sitting watching this, and all of a sudden this comes up. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got to mute it. Hold on, I muted it. Here we go.
Carol Baskin vented on a celebrity webcast called Hollywood Raw.
I really feel like this is going to be just another horrible year of people having the wrong idea about who I am and what I'm trying to do.
Carol Baskin began getting all that attention.
And my God, they need a new writer.
What? I know, a webcast? I know. I'm not saying that 48 Hours isn't dated a little bit.
It wasn't on anymore. Mm-hmm. That's why I thought.
And that's what when I texted Dex and Adam right afterwards, and I'm like, so we're a webcast, but we were mentioned on 48 Hours.
They did get it right.
So it was super cool. And so normally media outlets really don't like to promote other ones. That's like old school. They just don't do it. And when they do,
that's like one of the rules, you never say their name.
Right.
You never say it's that other station or that newspaper in town.
Which anymore everybody knows.
Station.
It's so dumb.
So dumb. So petty.
And normally when they do it, or in the past when they've done it, they get stuff wrong. They enact. They don't reference it correctly, or the tag is wrong
on purpose.
It was a full screen picture of Hollywood Raw, Hurrdat Media logo, Dax and Adam. Like it was huge. It was a really big deal. So
that just brought him into awesome. Into the 2000s. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Get off of 48 Hours. But I get what you're saying.
I kid. That is really fantastic. That really is. That's pretty cool because it's on people's radars. Then you have to realize that means that somebody that's on their staff, probably some associate, second producer, assistant goes get the coffee, listens because they're listening to podcasts. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's like, oh, dudes, they had this great story on Hollywood Raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody in that office listens.
Yeah. Right.
And
it's like when
that's pretty cool.
When the Cornhuskers used Nick Baugh's part of his podcast for the tunnel walk that one time. You're like, man, that's cool. Somebody listens. Somebody knows who Nick is.
I know. It's like, people are listening, but it's just kind of neat when it comes to light.
Yeah. Yeah. So Angie wasn't drinking. I mean, I don't know if she was drinking or not, but she was accurate. We'll put it that way.
I'm going to say she probably was.
Probably was. But accurate
that's okay.
Still.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Let's see here. What else happened this weekend? Oh, okay. Let's see. There's a couple things. Oh, the whole Gillian Maxwell thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've been following along that she was found guilty on 5 of the 6 counts. I
did see that. Yes.
A lot of people are pissed off, and there's still a lot of movement going on. Don't think this is over with. And I had even I was at one of them because I was like, this is so infuriating because they didn't release any of the information. Mm-hmm. And they like redacted the black book, and they had all this stuff, so names didn't get released and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is so unfair because she's going to go down, but no, they aren't going to catch the people. She's convicted of supplying the product, but nobody's going to get in trouble for buying the product.
And that is so backwards that we know that there are people redacted names that we know are high profile that engaged with these girls, and they're just walking. And had to be just this big sigh of relief when they realized that the judge wasn't going to allow this information to be released. So gross.
And it just made everybody so pissed. And then I saw a couple of stories this weekend where there's still some movement going on behind the scenes. This isn't over with yet, because at first they were saying, it's just so strange that the prosecutors didn't offer a deal, or that the defense didn't actually offer the deal either, to say, listen, she will name names if we can cut her sentence just a little bit, like we can take some years off, or maybe she gets to pick where she's going to stay, or, all that stuff. There was leverage where she could name names. A lot of those names obviously are in the black book, so they don't need her. Well, they need her testimony, I guess, really, because just being in the book wouldn't be enough. But that wasn't even on the table for either side. It's like,
I thought that would be leading the chant, or leading whatever the what's it called? Leading the what?
The charge.
Charge. I knew it was something, not chant. Leading the charge. I saw it there. I saw CH sticking around the corner, but I couldn't pull it around. What?
But yeah, I was getting so frustrated. And then I saw this story about Prince Andrew. And apparently they've been doing some work behind the scenes, and that he's kind of like been huddling around with the lawyers, so to speak, because they're worried that some stuff is going to come out about him in particular. And there was one story that came out that said, and this literally came out on the 31st, said, yesterday Prince Andrew drove to Windsor for lunch with the Queen. I'm sure this was not awkward. And said that he had actually, they were having talks about what they can do to protect him. The Duke of York, they say, cannot provide evidence that he has the quote inability to sweat, which you might remember. That's what he said. Because the young girl said he was sweating profusely when dancing and this stuff.
Right. I forgot about that.
I can't sweat. I remember that interview and you're like, what? This is crazy. But he apparently is not able to provide evidence that proves he is unable to sweat, in his inability to sweat, unable. Anyway, and he was also unable to name any witnesses that could support this alibi. Apparently, and this is where things get weird. And if you are a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, you'll know what I'm talking about when you hear this next part. That this all took place when he took his daughter, I believe it was, to a Pizza Express on the night he was accused of assaulting Virginia Roberts is her name.
And he did take her to a Pizza Express that night, for sure?
He took it, yes.
His daughter?
And that girl, at the time, she was 17. And that's where her attorneys asked him to name the people he may have met in that restaurant that could back up the alibi that he gave during the interview back in 2019, where he said, well, that's ridiculous because I couldn't have been dancing and I wasn't sweating because I don't sweat. But yeah, so no papers to back up his claim. So apparently somebody is asking for something. Yeah. And he's unable.
He's unable to. They won't allow him to
prove it. He can't. He has nobody to back it up to say. He needs a doctor to say he doesn't sweat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he can't.
He doesn't have it.
Because he sweats. He's not a freaking dog. He doesn't pant.
And he's like a loose end, which is like that one string. You just want to pull that one string and it's going to unravel
I would hope so.
Everything.
I hope so. Because not that I don't care about Prince Andrew being involved, but that's that's obvious. I'm more worried about the people in this country that are doing. To me, the royal whatever, they're just dirtbags, creepy up and down all the way across the board. So that's obvious. I want to know who we're lifting up and we celebrate every day that are perverts.
Yeah,
you know?
and it is. And we've talked about this before, that he was thrown under the bus when it came to outing a name. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. It's like, well, if they're willing to throw him under the bus, he's a lightweight in their eyes. Yeah. He's disposable. But he's, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, how big are the names?
I bet we never know.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to, fingers crossed. I'm hoping something comes out. I'm hoping something comes out. Anyway, let's see what else is going on this weekend. Oh, a couple short stories. And I got to throw this one out here just because I happened to be watching and then saw the backlash afterwards. Did you watch any of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football game and see what Antonio Brown did?
No, I saw what he did. I saw it online, but I did not watch the game. Talk about dude is just unhinged.
Yeah, I agree. And just for those that didn't see, third quarter, he just left the game. He took off his shirt, took off his undershirt, took off his pads. Everything came off. He was shirtless. It was cold.
Yeah.
Shirtless. And he danced across the field and then skipped into the locker room waving at people as he was leaving.
I saw he'd had a few catches and 89 something whatever yards, and I also saw too that he's so close to 2 games. In the next 2 games, all he had to do was complete 8 more passes, 80 yards, 90 yards, and a touchdown, and he'd get $1 million bonus. And he just deuces out.
Done. And probably Hall of Fame is probably off. I don't know.
I would hope so. I mean, I don't know. The first thing, and I don't ever want to throw this out there initially, like right off the bat, but the first thing when I saw was like, is this like a CTE issue?
That's the first thing that literally I'm watching this and I'm like, why is nobody helping him?
Yeah, he needs help.
He needed somebody. Where are his friends? Mm-hmm. Then I wonder, does he have any? Okay, that's a possibility too, because we know he's been difficult. But I agree with you, and that literally came up in conversations online where people, it's like you kind of saw the tide turn, because at first it was, oh my God, he's crazy. He was going to get a ring. He's with Brady, and that's the only way he's going to be playing NFL. Nobody wants to touch him now. He's off limits. He's too hot. Hot potato. Blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden you started seeing the tide turn. Yeah. And people are like, you know what? There's something wrong here.
Yeah, he's in the perfect situation for an athlete to achieve the highest possible, make all the whatever, and he does that. There is something wrong.
Right. And I think you probably, the CTE is exactly where I was headed with this. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And I have to wonder, you have to, because he's so brilliant at what he does, but he's so unhinged and it's getting worse.
Yeah. Right. It
used to be what diamond encrusted Rolls Royces.
Right. Yeah.
And now,
I mean, you can be an arrogant jerk, and people, if you don't do stuff like that, you're like, well, he's just a jerk. He's an arrogant a-hole. But that's like next level stuff where he's sick.
it's true. And he was, when you were talking about receptions, I think he was number 3 for targets and receptions on the list that day. It was Gronsky. What's his name? Yeah. The Gronk. Yeah. He was first, and there was another guy ahead of him. So he wasn't the main target. And I wonder, some are wondering if that's what triggered it, because he wasn't getting the throws and the opportunities. I don't think that targeted or that triggered it. I think there was no doubt.
Yeah.
There's other things at play, but that's just really,
sad.
Very
sad.
And then of course, New Year's Eve, I'm trying to find something to watch, and I'm going to get to you'll see where I'm going here, Pat. I was trying to find something to watch, and I just want to throw this out about Netflix real quick. When I go to Netflix and I start typing in the search bar for a movie, and it autofills as I'm typing it, but doesn't have the movie, that bug needs to be fixed.
How does it do that? Like, how does it? If it's not in their system, what does it tell you? Like, here, yeah, that movie exists, but you can't watch it here.
And then you click on it, that's not available. And you're like,
what?
Well, why did you autofill? You're fooling with me. And so, toying with me totally. So I ended up going back to Twitter. And fortunately, my attention was drawn by several people to Pat and his tweets.
I will not take full blame for this. My wife and I were a little thirsty on New Year's Eve. Thirsty not for cocktails. We were thirsty for attention. Apparently.
You were atting and hashtagging the guys on CNN.
Okay, a little background on this first. Okay, a couple things. First of all, it's no secret that I love Andy Cohen. I think he's hilarious. And I think Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper together, I'm not a huge fan of Anderson Cooper, like, or journalism, whatever, but him and Andy together just make me happy. They're so funny because Anderson Cooper is Anderson Cooper. And then when he's with Andy, he's a drunk little buddy.
He's a Vanderbilt.
He is a total Vanderbilt. Yes. And they're just, he's just so funny. They're just, because they get hammered on CNN. It's so against what journalists should do. They get loaded, and it's just fun to watch the progression. It makes me happy. It makes Beth and I so happy to watch that.
Was there any one part of it that really stood out to you as far as I like the de Blasio rant. I thought that was hilarious.
That was great. That was funny. Just them taking shots. And just like Anderson, then as he gets on, like, it's like a 4-hour show. So when you get in like that third hour, he starts giggling. Like Andy just says stuff to make him funny, and he'll laugh, and he'll just laugh for 15 seconds. And it's just joy.
I think when I saw this, it wasn't midnight yet. It's probably around 10 or 11. So we go back 3 hours earlier, and I see your first tweet. We're matching you guys shot for shot.
We were.
Time for more! Exclamation
Dang
point.
It.
Watching from Omaha.
See?
Happy New Year.
And on the bottom, they had the scroll, and they were showing tweets, and it was hashtag CNNNYE. I'm thinking, and then the background I was going to give is that 10 years ago, Modern Family did a marathon on TBS, I think, and you could be part of that if you were on Twitter and you hashtag something specific, and your tweet would get up on TV. And mine did like 3 or 4 different times. I'm like, oh, this is the same thing. So we tweeted, I don't even know how many tweets, 10 throughout the course of the night, and not once.
You guys didn't make the crawl?
No, and there were other ones that were on there like multiple times. We counted one like 5 or 6 times, and when we got to that point, we're like, nah.
Oh, hold on. Did you hear that? Could you hear that?
Okay,
hold on. Let me see if I can turn this down, because it's in my ear and I want to make sure it's not on.
Okay.
Let me turn this down. Because the one that I sent you, which I thought was so funny, was the tweet that went out that had from Bend Over.
Yes. Oh my God.
There were a bunch of those.
There were Bend Over was and it was when Beth noticed the first one, and then after a while, it's like you start noticing more and more. We're thinking either this is a bot and they're not paying attention to these tweets, or it's some old dude that has no clue that Hugh underscore.
Who made these? Who made these? Are like on the spot, because they had to be they were tweets.
Yeah, but I bet their account. I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea.
There's another one that's at Mike. It's at Mike Oxlong. Was another one.
My favorite was Hugh underscore Janus. And these are all on CNN on the scroll.
Oh my God. And there were some that are just inappropriate to even say out loud.
Oh my gosh.
But they were one after another, and you didn't get an at Pat Safford.
Nothing.
Or at Pat as a boy.
Because I was too I don't know. I got to think of something else and up my game next year.
See, the next one was ring in the new year with tequila and baby food. Love you guys.
Okay, history on that one. Like the first hour after their first shot of tequila, Anderson reached in his jacket and he had a baby food little squirt thing from his son, and he just started eating baby food and doing shots of tequila. That's why I love Anderson, Cooper, and Andy together. It's just the best.
Next one, I love this one. This is the real thirsty one.
Yeah.
Just waiting to see my tweet on TV. Happy New Year.
That's all. Just a girl at the end of the night at the bar just looking for a ride home. That's it. I'm just after a while you just got to say, listen, boys, I need a ride home.
Right.
That's me just saying, listen, I just want to be on TV.
Let me just tell you, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that what you're basically saying? Mm-hmm. A big comb, baby food, and tequila. Incredible. Happy New Year.
I thought that was for sure. I mentioned the baby food. I'm like, they're going to think that's funny. Yeah, I know.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we were thirsty, but we were having fun.
But you got some attention, though. You did get attention on Twitter, just not from the people you were trying to get to.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob, for outing me. And if you had a scroll, I'd probably be on your scroll, Rob.
Right?
Yeah,
that's true. And Rob was going to be here today to make sure he wanted to read your tweets for you. But he unfortunately had a conflict.
Yeah.
So
that's too bad. It's really unfortunate, Rob. Gosh.
So that was often. So, Jack wants to say hi.
Hi, Jack. I heard him with his wubba or whatever. Yeah. Hi, Jack.
This is what he's got. It's a little duck.
Swan with a headband. Oh, a duck.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. There you go, baby. All right. Good deal. Awesome.
Well, that kicks off 2022 with a bang right there.
This is the best way to do it. So all good, guys. So happy New Year.
That's right.
And coming up this Friday, just want to let you know we're going to be Facebook Living, and I'm not really sure what the theme's going to be, but I'm not really sure what the theme's going to be, but I'm going to find out because we want you guys to be part of it. Yeah. So every Friday we'll be doing a Facebook Live, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So about 9-ish in the morning.
About 9-ish. Yeah, that'll work. About 9-ish, whatever.
15-ish.
9-ish. Thank you guys for listening to our show.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.